Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build for the Disney save. Today we have our first commercial lot of Mount Komorebi. We are finally moving on to the next little neighborhood outside of the basically frozen district that we've been doing towards the top of the mountain. We did dabble in a couple of other movies. There were some Monsters Inc. and a little bit of Tinkerbell up there as well, but basically it was all frozen until this point. And I kept telling you guys, we're done with Frozen, we've done all the characters, like we're good for a little while. There are a couple of townies that I still haven't done that will be added in at a later point in time, probably towards the end of Mount Komorebi, but I kept saying we're all done with Frozen, and I completely forgot that I had one more lot I wanted to do. Everything in my brain was sort of like, oh, wintertime and ice and all of the things relating to that, and I forgot as we moved into this newer neighborhood where we have lots that are not permanently stuck in wintertime, there was one more Frozen themed thing that I wanted to do. So this lot in particular, it's very small. It is definitely located in an area that feels super commercial. If you look around at a lot of the other buildings surrounding these lots in this entire area, it's very businessy, very restaurant. There's a lot of infrastructure around. It's a little bit jarring, I'm not gonna lie. It's one of those things where I sort of have to ignore it to create some more Disney themed lots, but ideally I wouldn't really love the power lines running all through my lots, especially some of these like Disney related ones. But the cool thing about this one is that originally when you download Snowy Escape, it is marked as a park. So we had the idea to keep it as a park and probably just do a park of some kind themed wise. Now, I have done a few other parks in the save file so far. You might remember the Froggy Bayou from Willow Creek that is based after Princess and the Frog, and there's actually another park in Willow Creek that's more of like a children's playground, but we didn't get one in Evergreen Harbor. We obviously did not get one in Forgotten Hollow, so now that we are on to this world and this lot being so small and grassy and sort of tucked away, I think it makes a lot of sense to keep this a park. I did go ahead and make it a national park so that it doesn't require as many items on it. I think national parks only require like a trash can and a grill. And to be honest, I hid those items in some of the basement levels so that they weren't taking away from like the more scenic beauty of this particular lot. And something that I do tend to do when we do parks is double them as wedding venues, which I won't do all the time, but it felt really appropriate to do it this time around. So this is all based after the Troll Rock Garden from Frozen, from the scenes where Kristoff brings Anna to go get help from the trolls that raised him, and they arrive in this like kind of secluded sort of garden with escalating rocks in the background, these boulders all over the place that end up being the trolls, and they have the big ensemble number of the two of them potentially getting married, and they put them in like an archway in a hole in the middle of the ground, and they have that entire scene. So I felt like we wanted to maybe pull a lot of elements from that and bring in the actual wedding arch and make this double as a wedding venue. Other than that, it is mostly just a scenic lot. I don't create these all the time, and I'm not a huge fan of making lots for the Disney save that don't have a lot of purposes. But at the end of the day, we still want to have a couple of lots that are more just like you're coming there for maybe a cute date or a picnic or some storytelling. And it felt like an interesting park to attempt, considering that we are in Mount Komorebi where a lot of the culture is more Japanese inspired, and so you have the idea of like rock gardens and zen gardens and those types of things. So creating more of like a stylized rock garden that's located in the middle of this more commercial area feels almost sort of natural in a way, and it was cool to tie in Frozen rather than some of the other movies that we're going to be using later on that are a little bit more Asian inspired for the rest of the world. So what I mean to say is basically this is the last Frozen lot, I'm pretty sure. I do have a lot replacement planned for one of the lots up at the top, but honestly it's so low down on my list to do right now. I am very much ready to move on. In fact, I've already started the next build that goes across the street from this one, and you will be happy to know that it is in fact not Frozen themed. So we are definitely going to be taking a bit of a break from the idea for a while. But basically we had a lot of reference for this place. There was the hole in the ground with the archway that you could use for a little bit of a wedding spot. Your Sims can actually get married there. I've hidden a wedding arch in the middle of the green arches, and if you click on it, your Sims will actually go down into the hole and you could potentially get married there. So it's a cool, like maybe eloping type of thing. There isn't a lot of seating here. There's maybe 1 or 2 benches, so it could just be something where 2 Sims want to come and like elope potentially and not have a bunch of other Sims that want to spectate the wedding. But regardless, it's still kind of a cool concept having the hole in the ground. I wasn't really sure if we were going to be able to make it functional, but it is working. And then some of the other elements that I noticed when watching the movie, there was sort of this like escalating rock pattern in the background where as you got further back into the park, the rocks were just sort of rising up a little bit. It wasn't exactly like a hill. It was a lot more like this with the sort of moon crescent shaped rock structure. To fit this all on this lot was definitely a little bit of a challenge. I was not very happy with some of the awkward placement of the fact that like the rocks are coming out into the road, and I do wish that the road was not there entirely and that they wouldn't put garden lots like this so close to the edge of the road on that side. It doesn't really make sense to me, especially because they had originally marked this as a park. So I kind of thought that maybe you would give some distance from the street, but I ended up taking some taller trees and wrapping it around the backside of the rocks to hide the lot a little bit more. And it makes for really, really great photos when it comes to like actually having your Sims potentially get married here. So it has like a very secluded feel. Some of the other things, there were obviously references to crystals. A lot of the trolls from the movie wear these crystal necklaces and body jewelry, so I wanted to maybe hide some crystals amongst the rocks, but generally keep it very organic looking, very natural, not have anything like too technology based or modern on the lot at all. And a lot of it was basically just landscaping. One thing that is really cool about this lot that makes it a little bit different than some of the other stuff that we've done for the save file so far, there are these special rock geyser type of things that are in the pool items. They create bubbles and a little bit of smoke, and if you put them underground and turn them on, they will create this very low-laying fog with some slight bubbles and whatnot that comes up to like the surface of the lot. And in the movie, if you remember, there is quite a bit of fog in this garden, so it was something that I really wanted to replicate. You can also do this idea with chimneys, but it doesn't work as well. Your Sims have to be able to get to the fireplace to light like the very first original chimney. So it was cool to experiment with something new here, and it does work very well, and I'm very happy with how it turned out. It's just unique overall. Like, you could not have the fog on, and it's very romantic. It's got like beautiful lighting and crystals and whatnot, but then the fog sort of can also create this eerie element, especially at night, that I definitely enjoyed. And then at the end of the day, like I said, we wanted to do this as more of like an actual rock garden. So Zen gardens in particular will probably be featured in other places in Mount Komorebi. It feels like, of course, a very specific like thing that we would want to do for this world. But when Anna and Kristoff arrive on this lot, Anna is initially very confused about what they are there for, because all of the rocks that are located in the area basically just look like boulders. So she's confused, and I thought it would be cool to maybe find like a boulder item and spread it all over the lot so that it was rocks, but a little bit more Frozen themed, specifically like after the trolls. It's very unique. There is sort of like this magical element to this lot that I didn't think I would really be putting in an area like this, and that I rarely put into an area that tends to be a little bit more of a commercial space. But as for the rest of this area, we have 3 other lots. One of them is most definitely going to be a restaurant. I actually started that on Twitch today. I won't spoil it, but if you go down to my Twitch and check it out, I always keep my VODs up, so you should be able to go watch the VOD of us starting that restaurant. And I think some of you will probably be able to guess pretty easily, but others of you might be a little bit excited and surprised with the different choice of movie, because it is in fact not Mulan. There is another Mulan themed lot that we're going to be working on in the next couple of weeks here in this area, and then there's 2 more, I think, so maybe 5 total lots, and those other 2 are not themed after like any one particular thing. They're going to be an accumulation of a couple of different ideas, so they're more general lots, which is either really fun for me or super stressful. I actually was pretty excited that we were able to go and start a recreation with the restaurant first before we jump into some more stuff that's a little bit more based out of my head. And then we have the neighborhood that's down at the bottom of Mount Komorebi, and of course that is going to be a very largely residential area with a lot of Mulan. It's no surprise there. Again, I really don't want to spoil too much of it. I don't like to lay out what we're going to do for every single individual lot. That's more of like a patron thing, and sometimes things do get changed. I'll have an idea and realize that it's not really going to work, or maybe a really good idea comes down the line that fits a lot better, and so we end up wanting to use it versus one that was originally supposed to go in this world. Like, I can already tell you, for example, that when the first plans came out for Mount Komorebi, we originally planned to have the Lucky Cat Cafe from Big Hero 6 here, but we ended up moving it to a different world, or scrapping it for later to move to a different world in place of a different restaurant that I think is going to fit here a lot better. So ideas are always basically changing, and it's kind of a waste in a lot of ways for me to give away too much of what happens just because of those reasons. Another tiny little detail for the crystals on this lot, I decided to choose only pink, blue, and green crystals, and that is based after the jewelry from the main 3 trolls that they show in the movie. I did actually make the trolls on Twitch as well, or at least a version of them. They are spellcasters, and they're very interesting looking. They're supposed to have this like stony texture to their skin, so they're all gray color, and they have like stone related names and freckles to hopefully give them like a more textured look. That was a really fun stream. We ended up accidentally creating Kylie Jenner using some genetics in the game and just breeding the trolls and trying to get ones that resemble one another but changing like some of the genders. It was really funny. I'm not quite sure that I'm going to be posting that video or any of the content related to creating the troll townies. That's why I figured I would go ahead and mention it right now. But just so you know, we did create a couple of townies that are trolls, if you will. Maybe someday we would get something so specific that they would add like a new occult that was a troll, and we would be able to do something even more fun. But I really just wanted to create them so that I could hopefully relate them to Kristoff and have them be a part of his family tree, and they'll really just serve as like more interesting magical beings for Mount Komorebi, where we don't have too many of those. Elsa is probably one of the exceptions, and then we have the Yeti and Periwinkle. So other than that, we're not going to have like too many magical sims running around, so it was a nice way to maybe sprinkle in a couple of different ideas. I also want to say, just to clarify, I had recently taken a break from YouTube and Twitch and Patreon and basically just went ghost for a week. I was popping in and out of Discord a little bit here and there, and I didn't really announce that this break was happening because I didn't intentionally take it. It was something that, with some friends and some help, was pointed out to me that I was definitely in desperate need of a break, where I really didn't realize that I was, and decided very last minute that I was going to go ahead and take one. So I didn't mean to completely ghost and just not post videos for a week or stream or anything, but it was what needed to happen at the end of the day. I got some rest, I read a little bit and hung out, and I feel a lot better to go ahead and go move forward with some newer stuff for Mount Komorebi. So I do apologize for the lack of content the past week or so, and moving into some slower like creative sim videos and extra content that isn't really like main Disney save material. But we should be back on track now and ready to start powering through the rest of Mount Komorebi so that we can move on to some future worlds and some future things. Not that I'm sick of this area yet. I actually think that I feel really good, but it does feel like it's taking a little bit of a long time. All of the worlds feel that way to me though. And you guys always tell me that you feel like they went really quickly, but to me, me, they just feel like absolutely the longest days of my life. Relating to that though, I should probably say that I think that taking this break has made me realize that I do need to maybe do that on occasion a little bit more often. I am a really big fan of just not taking a break the entire year and then taking one closer to Christmas time. Usually if I was going to travel home to see family, that would be like my one break for the year. And I never really take breaks for myself or my own personal things. No vacations, no like let's just take a week off so that we can hang out and relax. Never me time. Like I never ever do that. And I think it's been literally years since I've done anything like that. And I just want to be able to keep putting out really great quality content and keep going with the Disney Save. This is a really, really big project. And I think that a lot of people would probably see it as something that I would eventually give up on, because I think a lot of people would hit a wall with it and would maybe not want to continue. But I really do intend to see this through until the end. I don't see why not, and I definitely enjoy doing it, and I want to make sure that I continue enjoying doing it. So if that means that every couple of months I need to maybe take a break for myself for a week or a weekend and just not worry about whether or not I have a video to go up that week, or if I'm going to go live a couple of times that week, then it's probably the better choice in the long run. I think it will create better builds, better things if I am actually giving myself a little bit of time. So next time, hopefully I'll be able to update on whether or not I'm going to be taking a break versus just completely doing it one day and not really telling anybody. But we'll see. I do want to say one thing that is a little bit of a bummer about this lot. I really think this is a difficult lot to take photos of. It's a lot of foliage. It's a lot of just like overgrown garden space, and it's a lot to look at. So in my opinion, the screenshots do not actually really do this lot justice, especially with the rest of the background from this world. And you can even see a little bit here and there, the popping up power lines that are from across the street. And if you go to the gallery when this is available for download, it of course includes a screenshot with power lines running through the middle of the garden, which is definitely a little bit jarring, but it's really pretty. It's small. I think it's something interesting, but you guys let me know what you thought of it in the comment section down below. And that is going to be the end of today's video. If you would like to watch me build in the Disney Save, I go live 3 times a week for Disney Save content and Sims. We also go live on Fridays for Variety Friday, SOT, Stardew Valley, Call of Duty, Lemon Cake, all sorts of stuff. So definitely give me a follow over there and turn notifications on so you know when to come hang out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.